Welcome to Inviting Oneness, a podcast where we explore true personal stories from friends and members of EquaSion. Stories where the illusion of separateness gave way to the deeper truth of our shared humanity. Across traditions, we find affirmations of oneness. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks says, "We are each different, but we are each in the image of God. The unity of humanity is not in uniformity, but in our shared divine dignity." His words remind us, oneness isn't an idea, it's an experience. And today, we continue listening for it, one story at a time. This week's storyteller is Sandy Kaltman. Sandy is the vice president of the board of EquaSion and was the co-chair of the first Festival of Faiths in 2018.
It was June 24th, 2018, the first annual Cincinnati Festival of Faiths. And as one of the co-chairs of that first festival, I had the honor of delivering some greetings from the podium at the beginning of the festival. And I came up to the podium. I was a little nervous because I do public speaking, but it's not my favorite thing. But when I looked out at the hundreds and hundreds of people out there, people of many different religions, races, dressed in multicolored clothing, I was so excited at what we had created and at the fact that so many people in our community were interested enough in the idea of a Festival of Faiths that they turned out in great numbers. That was a beautiful thing to see and made me feel like all the work that had gone into getting ready for that day was well worth the effort, because there was such a buzz in that room, and besides me, there were hundreds and hundreds of other people who were very excited to be there and were enjoying every minute of what that day had to offer. Standing at that podium and looking out at that beautiful sea of color in people's clothing and their skin tones, it really made me feel hopeful for our future rather than despondent or afraid, because we were a big group of people and we were all there to learn from each other. And that was something to celebrate rather than to despair about. And it gave me a lot of hope, because what that looked like to me was the best of humanity that our city had to offer. And that was a very powerful feeling at a time when some of those in power were trying to sow division, to emphasize what's different about people rather than what we have in common. And what I experienced looking out at all those wonderful people was a very strong sense that we could do better than that we collectively, as greater Cincinnatians of many different faiths, had so much to offer the city, and that we had the possibility of working together to look at what we could do together based on what we had in common rather than what was different about us. And that was a very moving feeling to me, and something I had not really experienced, even though I had been involved in the planning of the festival for quite a long time. When we started our planning for the first annual Festival of Faiths, we were hoping to bring together people from all corners of the community and to really celebrate the religious diversity that exists in our city, but is really underappreciated, and to some people, really unknown in terms of people from smaller faith traditions who are not well known in our community. So we wanted to highlight all the good that's going on in the greater Cincinnati community and give people the opportunity to meet people they might otherwise never have met and to learn a little bit about other people's faith traditions. The festival provided a vehicle for bringing like-minded people together, or even people who were not exactly like-minded but were open to the idea of meeting and learning from other people. And that was a beautiful feeling to have, and made me proud of my city and proud of the project that we were working on in trying to celebrate the religious diversity that our city has to offer and to make some good from that. We are in some very difficult times right now, politically, and there continue to be so many efforts to pull people apart and to create a sense of other. And so it remains just as important today as it was in 2018 to reject the whole idea that we don't have a common humanity or a sense of oneness, or cannot get to a sense of oneness. And that makes the work that we're doing just as important today to me as it was when we started down the road with the first festival in 2018. In troubled times, I think we have to look for the things that we find beauty in and that give us hope and that inspire us to keep on going, because the alternative is way worse than trying to harness our collective power to do what we can to make the world a better place.
Thanks for joining us on Inviting Oneness, where we share real stories of connection that dissolve the illusion of separation and reveal our common humanity. If today's story moved you, we invite you to keep the conversation going in person at this year's Festival of Faiths on June 22nd, a day of dialogue, music, and community rooted in compassion and unity. To learn more about the festival, our work at EquaSion, or to share your own story of oneness, visit us at EquaSion.org. Until next time, may we keep inviting oneness within ourselves and with one another.